Welcome to Not a Problem. In this video, I'll be discussing how to throw a party and hopefully provide you with some useful information. I'll go over common solutions, less than stellar solutions, and give my personal opinion for what that's worth. Starting with the common solutions. You can throw a party at your house. Now, that can be convenient, but it could also limit you to how many guests you invite, and it can also risk your neighborhood reputation in case parties get too rowdy or get out of hand, and potentially cause neighborly disputes if it happens too frequently. Also, if you need to ask a guest to leave, just remember that they know where you live. So you don't want it to get too crazy when you're throwing a party at your house. Host the party on the weekend. Now, depending on the type of party it is, would determine whether it's a good thing to throw it on the weekend. A lot of people do have plans already made for the weekend if the party isn't planned early enough in advance. Keep in mind that usually more laid-back parties also take place earlier in the week for the most part, and more energetic parties are usually on the weekends. Of course, there are exceptions like holidays, birthdays, bachelor, bachelorette parties, but take into account what works best for the guests that you plan to invite. Only inviting close friends and family. This can be a safer option, and there's really no problem with that, but eventually the parties could get predictable, which, like I said, is not always a bad thing, as long as you regularly switch up your sources of entertainment. A common one is also to tell somebody you're inviting to bring someone else along, and it's also a good idea to let them know if it's going to be more of a laid-back party or more of an energetic party, so they can kind of figure out who would be the right person to bring with them. And it can go good or bad. They could bring somebody potentially that has bad intentions, could cause trouble, might steal something, or they could bring somebody that fits in the party great and everything works out perfect. Going on to the less than stellar solutions. Relying purely on drugs and alcohol for entertainment. Now, this can open up the possibility for problems when people are under the influence, and if somebody does end up maybe getting a DUI, you could be implicated in that since that's where they were drinking. And it could also potentially be illegal depending what's at the party. If it's just alcohol, but then when you start bringing in drugs, you could run into problems. And it's just not a good method to rely on that to be your source of entertainment. It is unhealthy, and you'll get in big trouble if minors end up attending. Forgetting to set boundaries. It's always a good idea to have some type of designated security and to make sure to kick rowdy people out before things go overboard, if it looks like it will go that way. Forgetting to party-proof your venue. Now, every party has its fair share of accidents. You can have spills, things can get knocked over and break. You could have untrustworthy guests even. So knowing that accidents are prone to happen, it's always good to be prepared ahead of time. Put away your valuables. Hard floors are always a party's best friend. Avoiding carpets would be great. If you do have carpets, it's always good to put a rug down and move things that could easily be knocked over off counters or tables. Now for my personal opinion. Host at a centralized location. It's a good idea to host your party in a location that's somewhat near backup sources of entertainment. This could be other bars or clubs, or at least have it close to the people's houses that are attending, as close as possible if you have a choice, of course. That way any potential guests don't feel like they're overcommitting, and let's say if they don't like the party or they want to leave, they'll easily be able to go somewhere else without wasting a whole night. Having many activities planned. Now, this might be obvious, but you want to have activities for different types of people and different energy levels. Maybe when the party first starts, it's going to be a little more chill, and then as the party goes on, the energy level might get higher, and then near the end of the party, it'll taper off again. So you kind of want to have something to do for each of those times. And also different people are into different things. Just keep that in mind. Don't let your party become a disturbance. You can cause a disturbance in multiple ways, of course, the obvious ones: noise, damaging property, and if you do that, it's a surefire way for things to end badly. Deny access to underage potential guests. Now, I strongly recommend not allowing underage guests to attend a party, at least if you're a legal adult. You're putting yourself in a bad situation. Things can pop up on social media. It'll put you as the host at risk, depending on what type of activities are taking place. It also opens the door to misconduct allegations, whether anything bad actually happens or not. Now for the conclusion. Host the party at a centralized and party-proofed location. Remember, a convenient location that's as close to as many of the guests as possible, also close to alternate entertainment venues, and also make sure it's party-proof. Accidents do happen, so be prepared. Ask somebody you trust that's attending to bring somebody with them. This will help increase the party's attendance, but it also has the potential to either go good or bad. And if you're a legal adult, it's a better idea to have your guest bring somebody of legal age as well. Set rules and avoid creating a disturbance. If you forget this one, that's one of the quickest ways for the party to go south, and you do not want to neglect this step, trust me. Have different activities planned and avoid over-reliance on drugs or alcohol. Like I said, have different activities for different types of people, different energy levels, different segments of the party, and you don't just want to be hosting a drinking daycare. You're better than that. I hope this video allows throwing a party to be not a problem, or at least provided entertainment. Any thoughts, experiences, or advice is greatly appreciated. If you have any suggestions for problems you would like me to cover in future videos, please share what you want to see in the comments section below. Who knows, it could help someone out. Please subscribe and check out my other videos covering different topics. Take care.